Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Sunshine for the Soul. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me today. If you're new here, I'm Cyndi, and I am so appreciative of you bringing your great energy and your vibes to this community. So today, you guys, a lot of big energies going on this week. We've got the Lionsgate portal closing. We've got the Sun conjunct in Venus as of the 13th. We've got Venus retrograde is continuing, and now, lo and behold, here comes the new moon in Leo on the 16th. Again, this month is really big energies. So today, like I said in my last readings, I want to start implementing a little bit of the astrology and the meanings behind these astral bodies and these planetary movements, that their energies influence our lives and give us the opportunity to utilize these energies. How convenient for the Creator to make all these cycles and bring all these energies in closer to us. That's kind of a pretty amazing concept when you think about that. But they've been hidden from us and we didn't know how to utilize them. So now that we're awakening, now that we know we're a spiritual, energetic being having a human experience, not a human having a spiritual experience, big difference between the two. Now we realize we're energy, and it's a whole new ball game on learning how to function in this 3D reality that we're in right now. So a little brief history on the new moon. It is in Leo. It's 23 degrees and it's going to take place on the 16th at approximately 5:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The new moon, I dug into what the new moon was about. You know, we have the cliche stories and myths about new moons, but for myself, I really wanted to understand what a new moon meant. So the new moon marks the beginning of a lunar cycle. It takes approximately 29 and a half days for the moon to orbit our Earth. A new moon occurs when the moon is positioned between the Earth and the sun. So the sun and the Earth are on opposite sides of the moon. It's not a perfect alignment, or that would be a solar eclipse. That's when the moon gets in front of the sun, essentially blocks the sun. But during the new moon, the side of the moon that is facing Earth is the shadow side or the dark side. So that's why if you go outside, you'll have a pitch black night. You won't be able to see the light of the moon because it blends in with the darkness. It's the dark side of the moon, which is really interesting because, just a side note, a friend and I went up to this mountain range for the Perseids meteor shower this past weekend, and we sat in like a national park, and they played the dark side of the moon while we watched the Perseids meteor shower. It was very cool. Just Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd. The moon is never continually dark or continually light. It has both day and night, but in half moon cycles. Basically, it gets 15 days of light on one side, approximately 15 days of darkness, whereas the Earth spins faster and gives us partial time of day and light every 24 hours. So what's the difference between a new moon and a full moon? That kind of intrigued me. These are opposites. When there is a new moon, we see the side of the moon that is dark, or the shadow side. So this is where there's no illumination from the sun. But when there's a full moon, we see the side of the moon that is bright or illuminated. So for the month of August, we had a full moon on August 1st. We're having another one on August 30th, 31st, which, by the way, is my birthday. Shout out to all the Virgos this month. We're getting a Virgo season. And then on the 16th, we have a new moon. So 2 full moons and a new moon in the month of August for 2023. These are big energies, you guys. This is a side note too, is that the moon, according to the Farmer's Almanac, shares its origins from the Latin word metri, which means to measure, and mensis, which means month. This is where kind of a female gender's menses cycle comes from. But the lunar cycle has an impact on human reproduction, in particular fertility, menstruation, and birth rate, which is very interesting. Like, those energies are directly connected with us biologically. Melatonin levels appear to correlate with a woman's menstrual cycle. We know that lunar cycles affect human biology by also influencing our sleep cycles, that melatonin that our body naturally produces. We know it affects human minds emotionally and psychologically. I was a charge nurse on an Alzheimer's memory care unit. I had 28 clients, and I can tell you right now, when we had full and new moons, things were batshit crazy. And when you're in healthcare, don't even talk about it. But it's kind of like a myth and kind of funny. It's a full moon. Wow, things are going to be nuts tonight. But the reality is the energies are so increased that the mind of an Alzheimer's patient would be very sensitive to those changes in energy. So that's why those evenings got a little hairy-carry, all right? That's all I'm going to say. So we know now and understand that not only does the energy of the moon pull the oceans and cause the tides, but we know it affects us on an emotional level. We know that it affects us on a physical level, and we also know that it affects us on a spiritual level. So the new moon represents the beginning of a new chapter. Opportunities and situations may pop up during a new moon and be incredibly meaningful and reveal opportunities just ripe for you to pick. It connects us with our intuition and our emotions. And in tarot, the moon card is number 18, and that symbolizes things hidden below the surface, secrets, or things we cannot see. So the moon's energy, we become more in touch with our intuition. We can see things clearly, intuitively, rather than relying on what we see in the 3D with our physical eyes, opposed to using our intuition, which is our third eye. So this new moon, which is in Leo, is the opportunity to spiritually connect us, to bring us joy, happiness, self-love. It can reconnect us to our life's true purpose according to our natal birth chart and that blueprint we designed for this experience we are having here on Earth. This is a time for manifestation. It's a time for setting intentions, and it's time for writing a new chapter or just throwing it out and writing a whole new book. It is up to us. See you over there. All right, Libras, let's see what messages the universe has for you today. And I'm using the Dark Mansion Tarot deck. And the first card out, is the biggest energy. It's the biggest message. It starts off the reading. And Libras, we have got the Nine of Swords in the reverse. So this is Gemini energy. This is someone sitting in their bed at night. It's dark. You should see the shadow of the swords on the wall, which represent their negative thoughts that weigh very heavily on their mind. This is in the reverse, but it still runs kind of the same meaning. This is deeply anchored fears, paranoia, secret, going through an inner turmoil. But we have to be careful because fear and worry can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you stress about a potential outcome of a situation, something you have to do, the more your anxiety pushes away what it is you're trying to attract. So remember, our thoughts and emotions create our universe. They are an energy frequency. And if we want to align with something and bring something into our reality, these negative thoughts, it can push away what it is we want, right? And then we become farther and farther disconnected. So when we repeat these negative thought patterns in our mind, we run the risk of manifesting them into our lives. We are the co-creators. Every thought, every emotion that we process, that our body's programming system, the ego, processes, has the potential to send out a ripple in frequency, either negative or positive, and then bring that result back into us. And I know that's a deep concept, that we are the co-creators of everything around us. But this Nine of Swords is really asking us to break that cycle. It's saying every time a negative emotion comes up, replace it with a positive one instead. So instead of thinking, oh man, this is never going to work, you tell yourself, oh hell yeah, this is totally going to work. Like a couple years ago, I broke down on the side of the road and had a flat tire. And I knew how to change a tire, but this was the first legit time that I was going to have to get out. I was going to have to jack up the car. I was going to have to get the lug nuts loose. I was determined. I'm like, I got this. At first I thought about calling AAA, blah, 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 but I was like, no, you can't be about it. Just do it, right? And I did. I changed my tire. It was a conscious choice of whether or not I was going to look at that situation in a positive light as an opportunity to kind of, become empowered, girl power. We have a choice on how we want to perceive every situation. A flat tire for some people is very aggravating. For others, it's an opportunity for personal growth. So you can see how our mentality is just so important on how we address and how we look at things. We have a character here who is sitting in a very fearful state. A lot of anxiety, a lot of inner turmoil. Just a very uncomfortable position to be in. So I kind of asked the universe, what is this character fearful of? And I've got number 9, the Hermit card in the reverse. This is a major arcana. This is Virgo energy. So we have option 1, he's fearful of it's not a he. They are fearful of possibly some type of Virgo in their life. Or this is just Hermit energy. You see that he's an older kind of guy with long gray hair, which symbolizes wisdom. All right. And we see on this hermit's shoulder that there's a crow. So like crows are amongst the smartest animals in the world. And when we see a crow or have a crow come into our lives and cross our paths, they can call on us to use our wits and intelligence to solve problems and get out of sticky situations. So the hermit is someone who goes into hermit mode, goes into isolation. They research, they do their due diligence about learning about themselves or something that they're studying. But in the reverse here, this hermit, this could be you're not taking enough time for personal reflection, or they're concerned that they've taken too much time in self-reflection. If you have already been spending a lot of time reflecting on your inner self, the hermit reverse suggests that you may be taking this isolation too far. Now we see in this card, you've got the crescent moon, which says that, there's been lots of cycles that have gone by. He's gained a lot of wisdom though. It seems to me with the next card out, another major arcana, number 16, the Tower card, that this character is fearful that he took too much time in self-isolation, too much time in research, and then had a tower. I want to talk about the Tower a little bit. The Tower is a very important card in the tarot. It's a very powerful card because it brings in radical change. But as we can see in this card, is that this Tower is a solid structure, but it's built on a shaky foundation. It doesn't have much land underneath it. And then we see that a strike of lightning hits the Tower. It lights it on fire. There's people leaping from a burning building. And when this lightning strike comes in, this aha moment or this epiphany moment in our lives, it strikes and brings about sudden change and upheaval. And it can be chaos and revelations and awakenings. The lightning represents a sudden urge of energy and insight that leads to a breakthrough or a revelation. When the Tower card appears, expect the unexpected, massive change. This could be divorce, death of a loved one, financial problems, health problems. It's something that really shakes you to the core where you're not quite the same after you go through this Tower. There's no escaping it. Change is here to tear things up, create chaos, and destroy everything in its path. Then we have to trust that it's for our highest and greatest good. We all go through these Tower moments in our lives, these upheavals where we just got to change up our surroundings. We've got to do something different. We're done being insane. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. It's a hamster on a wheel. You get nowhere. Without change, we get nowhere. We stay stagnant. So when a Tower comes into our lives, your world may come crashing down before you in ways that you have never imagined as you realize that you have been building your life on an unstable foundation, maybe false assumptions, maybe mistruths, maybe blatant lies, maybe illusions that we tell ourselves. Everything you thought to be true has turned on your head. All right. And I don't talk about things in the news or watch the news, but you'd have to be literally in hermit, locked in a cave to not know that they have disclosed that they know of other entities, other beings from other galaxies and universe, and have been in contact with them since the 1940s. Our public government has now had hearings about that, and there's full disclosure going on about the technologies we've received from them, how it's going to change things going forward, like free world internet, free world energy. There's a lot of things that are radically changing in our world right now. A lot of people have a lot of towers coming down, and realizing that we're not the only being in our galaxy is going to be a shocker for some people. Some of us go, yeah, tell us something we didn't know, right? It just depends on where you fell. You are now questioning what is real and what is not. What or who can you rely upon, and what and who can you trust? As the system all breaks apart, you have to have ruin and upheaval and chaos and destruction in order to usher in change. And we're ushering in the age of Aquarius. We are in a radical, big shift that's going on. The best way forward is, let it self-destruct so you can rebuild and refocus. Let those core belief systems come crashing down. I know when it's hard to look back and think, everything that I've been told my entire life is nothing but a bunch of bullshit. That kind of does something to the mind. But when you are in tune to your creator, when you are listening to your intuition, okay? If you're here today listening to this, you're being guided to help others with this transition, to open up yourselves to all these other possibilities. And what I did is, I had to get rid of years of religious programming, and I'm not bashing religion, it has its place, but my belief system was completely founded upon one belief, one system, and my whole life was completely surrounded in that system. So when I started my spiritual awakening, it was just like clean slate going, okay, I don't believe anything. Universe, bring into me what it is that is my truth. And it has been a process. And if you're going through a spiritual awakening, it's also known as ascension. The Christians look at it as rapture, where we're transitioning to a place of peace, and our world is right in the mix of that right now. So very exciting times. I'm sorry about that ding, but you're also going to see with this chaos and this destruction, we go through a difficult time, but then we rise again, the phoenix rising from the ashes. So the tower gives us no alternative but to surrender to the chaos and the destruction. No matter how unwanted or painful, change on this deep level is hard, but you need to trust that life is happening for you and not to you. And all of this has a divine purpose. It allows us to have new growth in our lives, our soul to evolve. And that is the reason why we're here. We came here to have an experience as a spiritual energetic being in this human form. Came here to learn the lesson. Earth is called the Earth School. That's what it's known for in the universe. In summary, let's take a look at these first three cards. This general energy, the main theme of this reading so far for you, Libra, is that we have a character that was in a state of negative thoughts and outcomes, causing sleepless nights and anxiety. We know that as our thoughts and emotions, along with our intentions, create our reality. So it was kind of a self-imposing prophecy, where then they went through tower after tower, right? As our thoughts and emotions create our reality with our intention, this character needed to change their mindset about a situation, possibly about a Virgo. Not sure if that's relevant. It could be any sign. But this character was fearful that they had taken too much time in self-reflection, too much time in isolation, that their hair had grown, longer and longer and grayer. And we saw that the cycles of the moon had changed so many times while they were in this isolation. And then, we have the tower strike, possibly numerous tower moments. Okay, very interesting start. I've pulled past, future, and advice from the universe, but honestly, I'm about 14 minutes in plus the intro, so I'm thinking that I'm going to go to a part 2 with you, Libra. I'm sorry to do that. You'll see the link at the end of this reading. Hop on over there. I appreciate you so much sticking with me, and let's see what happens with this character. This is kind of wet our whistle, where's he going now? Where are we going with all this radical change in tower moments that are happening within ourselves right now and within our reality, within our physical world? See you over there. Peace.